Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are so excited to have you. I'm Julia from Tradition Kitchens. It's great to see so many wonderful faces and names from around the globe. We are so excited to learn today with Norah. I want to invite all of you to turn on your video. Our class is all about building community and creating connections, and that really helps when we can see each other. So please do join us. And if you could, in the chat, we would love to know where you are calling in from. Our classes bring together people from around the world, Hawaii, Ireland, Japan, are some of the places, Canada, around the US that we've had folks join in the past. So please, in the chat, let us know where you're dialing in from. It's always also fun to learn the time zone that you might be in. We have some people who wake up in Australia and cook with us in the early morning hours or middle of the night. Oh, I see my favorite Hawaiian, Sri, just joined us, which I'm so excited to see you here. So welcome. We have 30 folks on the line. We're expecting over 130. So hopefully everybody had a chance to get some good rest this weekend, and we're looking forward to having you. Looks like we have some people here from Ohio and DC. We also do a fun program called the Kitchen Cam, where we invite those of you who are on video to quickly introduce yourself, and I'll spotlight you. So Jessica, I would love to have you unmute and tell us where you are calling in from, if you wouldn't mind. And you're in your kitchen, so are you cooking along with us?
I'm calling from Delaware, Ohio.
Wonderful. And you will be joining us and making this dish along with Norah?
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. All right, thanks for being here. So good to have you. All right, I'm going to take a look on the kitchen cam and see who else is around. It looks like Pamela has her kitchen all set up. Can we say hello to you? It's great to see you again. Please unmute and introduce yourself to everyone.
I'm Pamela. I'm from upstate New York, and I'm looking forward to making this recipe, but I'm using a lot of substitutes because I couldn't get tempeh and I don't have sweet soy sauce, but I think it'll turn out all right anyways.
I'm sure it'll be great. And I bet Norah can help you troubleshoot your way through with some substitutions. So glad to have you. Hope you're staying warm in the snow. Thanks.
Oh, I've got my wood stove going over there.
Oh, let me add you back to the spotlight. Can we see it? Let's see. Oh, wow. Look at that stove, everyone. That is cool. Is that a modern or is it an antique?
No.
Tell us
Oh,
more.
it's probably from about 1910.
Wow.
It's a wood stove, so I'll be cooking on that.
I love that. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. That's so fun. If anyone else has any fun around your house, you have something you want to show us in your kitchen, please do say hello. So I'm seeing some great introductions. Shri, it's great to see you. We could go from snowy upstate New York to sunny Hawaii. Are you able to start your video and say hello? I know it's early there for you. So if you are, we would love to say hi. Shri taught a class, Indonesian yellow rice. There she is. Hi, Shri. Aloha. Oh, are you on mute? Let's see. Can you, we can't hear you. I hear you now, I think. Hi.
Good to see you again.
You too. Would you like to tell everyone about yourself? Just introduce yourself.
Yeah, we live in Hawaii on the west side of Oahu. So I'm so happy to see you again, everyone. And of course, Julia.
Yes, it's so good to see you. Shri and I are pandemic friends. We hope to meet someday, but she has come to so many classes. And tell everyone what you cooked for us last year.
I cooked a dish from Indonesia, where I'm from. It's called nasi kuning or yellow rice. It's a complete meal for a party or a special occasion.
It was absolutely beautiful, and she made a flag for Tradition Kitchens in it. So I'll share that in a few minutes. Great to have you.
Thank you, Julia.
Your beautiful artwork. Are those paintings or drawings?
Yes, those are my acrylic paintings.
Wow, they're gorgeous. Is that a Hawaiian sunset behind you? Or
yes,
what is that?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. It was great to see you and excited to cook along with you. I think we have time for one or two more quick intros as we are welcoming everybody here today. So please, we invite you to turn on your video to say hello and welcome you to our cooking community. I'm Julia. I see Linda here, and I'm going to hop over to you if you want to unmute and introduce yourself. Let us know where you're calling in from. Maybe move the camera a little bit lower so we can see you.
Hello,
Hi, Linda. Where are you joining us from?
Austin, Texas.
Nice.
Yes,
Very
and sorry, I'm just getting over a little cold, so I'm
No, you're good.
so look forward to the presentation.
Absolutely. We are happy to have you. I love Austin. So thanks for saying hi. I am based in Atlanta, Georgia. This is not my real kitchen. It's one of my fake dream kitchens that I have created during the lovely pandemic. So I want to just do, let me see, I'm gonna check a few things before we officially kick off. So it looks like we have 40 people here. Really happy to have you. Want to just invite anyone who hasn't had a chance to introduce themselves. Let us know in the chat where you are calling in from. It's always great to welcome folks from around the world. And we will get started in a moment. Parul, how do you feel about being an intro? Want to say hello? I think you're on mute.
Hi, Julia. Oh, is this better?
Perfect.
Hi, everyone. I'm from DC, Alexandria. So Julia and I go way back. So I've been to a couple of these classes.
Oh, she's being modest. Parul almost has perfect attendance. She's a vegetarian who comes to non-vegetarian classes, so she gets brownie points. So thanks for being here. And remind everyone, you taught a class with your mom. What did you teach us?
About a little over a year ago, we did samosas and aloo bondas, which are Indian appetizers, a gluten-free version and a non-gluten-free version.
They were amazing, and it started a cooking trend for us. So thank you for doing that.
Glad it worked out.
Great to see you. I'll put the class link in the chat in a moment, along with Shri, so everyone can see. But we are officially at 8 minutes after the hour, so I want to welcome everyone. It looks like Ben and Dina from Iowa City are here. Renata is our first international attendee from Canada. Welcome. Julia from Tradition Kitchens. So I want to ask everyone to start with our tradition, which is taking a selfie, a Zoom selfie, which means that you turn on your video on your left-hand side if you're on a computer, and join us for a quick picture so we can remember our cooking adventures together. So I'll give everyone a moment. I'll call out a couple names. Sandra, I see you there. It'd be great to see you on video if you're able to join us. Great, hello. Christine, Emily, Cheryl, Becky, Elizabeth, Barbara, Lynn, thanks for joining us, Carla. I have everyone on gallery view, which is really fun. It's like the Brady Bunch style of Zoom where you can see all the videos popping up. So I encourage you to check that out so you can see what I'm seeing. Great to see you, Lulu and Amy. I think we have enough folks who've joined us on video. So I'm going to take 2 selfies. I'll count us down so we're all smiling. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. And let's take one more just in case anyone closed their eyes. Here's 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. That was really fun. And you can flip back to speaker view because in just a moment, I'm going to highlight our teacher today, Norah, and let her take it away. But just a couple of announcements. We encourage connecting with each other during our classes. So that is what our chat box is there for. Please introduce yourself if you haven't already. Let us know where you're calling in from. And also ask questions. Know that some people are cooking along, some people are just watching. Both is absolutely great. We welcome that so much. As Norah teaches us, she will pause to ask questions, but at some point I may have to move us forward just for the sake of keeping everyone on time and on track. You will get an email following this with a reminder of the ingredients and the recipe. And we are recording, so if you do have to leave early, we understand. You will get a recording of this session within the next 24 to 48 hours. Tradition Kitchens is all about building community and creating connections across geographies and cultures and generations. Today is a really special class. It's our 85th class, and we are really thrilled to have all of you here. Thank you so much, Linda, for the applause. Another fun way that we can interact and connect with each other during these events are with emoji reactions, or you can do the old-fashioned if you're on mute or want to unmute, but feel free, anyone wants to check out the hearts or the party horns, you can use that to show appreciation to Norah, our incredible teacher. So with that, I want to pass it over to Norah, who's going to teach us about her tradition today, and really thrilled to have her. We met on Instagram, which is such a wonderful place to connect with food communities, and she's going to share her recipe, her story, and thank you for sharing your time with us. All of our teachers and ambassadors are volunteers, so it's something we do to create connection during these remote times. So Norah, I'm going to pass it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julia. I'm really excited to be teaching today's workshop, today's cooking class, and this particular dish means a lot to me. But just for those who don't know me, I'm Norah. I'm a fermentation educator based here in Arizona, and I have been in Arizona since 2013, and I am originally from Singapore. So I'm not sure if anyone here has watched the movie Crazy Rich Asians. Like, raise your hand if you have. And it is, food is just so easily available. Food from different cuisines are so easily available in Singapore, and you don't have to look for food. Food will find you. And one of my favorite snacks to eat in Singapore was this dish that you would get at a nasi padang stalls, and you would basically these stalls, they'll have all these different like tray dishes laid out, and you'll just go to the lady. In Singapore we'll address them as auntie, and they'll say, auntie, I want like tempeh, the tempeh, and so they'll just sort of take it and just like basically slap it on a dish. And I just love how crunchy and crispy and spicy and sweet, and it's just so complex, this particular dish. It's called, so it's I actually didn't know what it was until I left Singapore, and I wanted to recreate this dish here, and I'm like, oh, I remember that tempeh dish that I had in Singapore. Like, what was
sorry, just a quick thing. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I just realized someone is sharing their screen by accident. So Lulu, I'm just going to ask you to stop sharing your screen. There we go. All right, keep going, Norah. Sorry about that.
So I actually looked this up, and I realized this dish, the name of this dish is Tempe Manis, and I wanted to recreate it here in Arizona. This was a few years ago, and so I got tempeh from. Oh yes, absolutely, Renee. I got the tempeh like from a supermarket, and it was a gray block with brown black spots, and it didn't look anything like the one I had in Singapore. So I was like, I don't know, I'll try it. So anyway, I did, and it was not satisfactory to me. And I think at one time I even forgot about it, and it just languished in my fridge, and it did not. I didn't cook with it, and then I realized, oh my goodness, I can't seem to get tempeh here. Why don't I make my own? Like, this is a personal challenge to myself, and so I'm like, okay, let me look this up. What do I need? And it turned out I knew tempeh was a fermented product, but I didn't really know what fermentation was, and so I looked it up. I'm like, okay, I have to get these spores, and I need to actually like inoculate some cooked soybeans with them, and so I decided to get my spores from then Cultures for Health, and it worked. And so, when you make it on a regular basis, I found from many trials and tribulations, there's a more efficient way of making it, and I started teaching workshops, and basically forming my own brand as a fermentation educator, because I wanted to understand the science and be able to teach the craft of tempeh and also many other different ferments that I make here in Arizona. And you're right, Sri, that is, yeah, tempeh is definitely a favorite cooking ingredient in Indonesia and Malaysia. Singapore, well, I guess if you've watched Crazy Rich Asians, you probably know where Singapore is located. We're really right in the heart of the Malay archipelago, and it's a majority ethnic Chinese nation island state. However, we have a sizable Malay Muslim population, and that's about 15%. And I guess in a way, that's like the beauty of growing up in a really multicultural society and being able to experience foods and cuisines from like the Chinese and the Indians and the Malays. Tempeh actually came to Singapore by way of the Javanese traders in the 18th century. So this is really tempeh is like a migrant food in its own right, and bringing it here to actually learning to make it here in the U.S. For me as an immigrant has been really, really rewarding, because I never thought I would be teaching classes on tempeh fermentation. And my next one, shameless plug, is actually this coming Saturday. And for those of you who'd like to sign up, I'm going to drop the links in a minute. And I'm also, as I mentioned spoke of Julia earlier, I've also started my own fermentation community online that's called Handcrafted Ferments with Norah. So this community is really meant for beginners to fermentation who would like to make fermentation a lifestyle but do not know where to begin and would like an expert guide, such as myself, that is me, Norah, to help you. And we'll be connecting bi-weekly through virtual events where we show and tell about our ferments and also answer questions directly about your progress of your fermentation, what you'd like to do. And really, I want to structure my community in a way that benefits members and basically understand what they'd like to learn. So that would be super, super, really, super delightful to actually start to host, in a few days. We just launched yesterday, so this is a soft launch, and I'm going to drop the link to that. As participants of today's workshop, you will actually get a promo code to join for 30 days free to see if this is going to be a fit for your fermentation goals. If you'd like to learn to ferment your own ferments at home. And besides tempeh, I'm also very knowledgeable about kombucha, sauerkraut, and kimchi. Actually just taught a workshop on that yesterday. And even like Korean rice wine that is called maguli, if anyone has heard of that, and yogurt, and other ferments that as well. So basically, I am your go-to fermentation guru if you're looking for one. But yeah, that is about me. I'm super excited to teach today, and I understand, very curious to know, for those of you who have tempeh, who are following along today, like where you source your own tempeh. If anyone has actually like made their own tempeh, definitely do share about that as well. I will actually start plugging in the links right now for anyone to check out later on if you have the time and the inclination. So let's see, I'm going to grab, so I think my link, I'll have my, so I'm going to copy and paste the link here to my fermentation community, and also to my workshop this coming Saturday.
Yeah, Norah has an amazing wealth of knowledge and incredible resources. So if anyone wants to continue learning after this class, there's just so much more about fermentation. So thank you for all the great work you do, and excited to have a healthy start to 2022 with some of your cooking. Oh yeah, absolutely. And tempeh is, I think Sri mentioned in chat, like tempeh is very healthy and nutritious like tofu. Tempeh is actually
because of the fermentation process, that actually makes it, the nutrients are more bioavailable in tempeh as compared to tofu, and the rhizopus mold really gets rid of a lot of anti-nutrients and that are controversial in soybeans. And by fermenting soybeans into tempeh, you really are able to gain a lot of health benefits. And this is the only complete plant protein that's actually available. So it's really great for anyone starting on like a vegan or vegetarian diet to start incorporating this. And it's so much more economical to make it yourself at home. So speaking of making it at home, I made this myself a few days ago. And you can see, like for those of you who are using store-bought tempeh, like how different it looks from like the tofurkey or light life tempeh. I'm not sure if anyone agrees, but are there anyone's? Okay, I think Ben and Dina, you're sharing the light life tempeh. All right. Well, yeah, I hope that everyone.
I was just going to spotlight you so everyone can see a little bit. Can you show the tempeh you have? Cool.
Okay. Can you show the back of it too?
This is what we happen to have in our grocery store. Was there more than one?
It was tons, and
Yeah.
I didn't know which one, so I
This
got
is
one
the
of
only
each.
brand.
Oh,
We do have fresh tofu that's made locally in Iowa, but no tempeh.
oh my gosh. Well, if you know where to look, if you want to learn to make it yourself. But yeah, this is really how tempeh is made in Indonesia and Singapore. So I will basically start. We'll talk about our ingredients in a little bit, just to take stock of what we have. So you'd like to have tempeh. You cannot make Tempe Manis without tempeh, not tempeh at all. And manis, as I mentioned in the description for this workshop, it refers to sweet. It's sweet in Bahasa, so it's really meant to be a sweet and savory dish. But there's a bit of complexity. It's not supposed to be cloyingly sweet. We're adding a lot of aromatics in this particular dish, so we're really going to enjoy the full range of like all this really wonderful Indonesian flavors. We're gonna be, I hope like everyone has their shallots. So we have in Indonesian, I think it's known as Bahasa. It's known as bawang merah. So like garlic would be known as bawang putih, and so this is what it would. So this is basically you need a number of cloves of garlic, however much you want to make. There's no universal recipe for Tempe Manis. If you want it more garlicky, chop up more garlic. If you like more shallots, you can add more of those as well. So I just have, I've sliced mine, and these are, I think can I see my overhead camera? So these are sliced. I've sliced them just so it's easier to. This is sort of easier to drain later on when I'm sauteing these. You can mince them if you like, but I just had these in larger slices. And I did not have access to lemongrass. So for the citrusy notes that I'm wanting to implement today, I'm going to be using Kefir lime leaves. So I'm going to show you how to prepare these later on. But if you have these are usually available frozen in an Asian supermarket. And so you would want to in order to make this edible, you would want to just basically get rid of the stem in the middle of the leaf. So you do this and basically just discard that, and then you will actually slice these slice these into strips, and one bay leaf for just to sort of amp up the infuse into the oil while we're making our aromatics sauteed and everything. And then you would want to also add some heat because Indonesian cooking is very big on heat, and you want to make it pedas. So pedas in Bahasa is spicy. And growing up in Singapore, I took Malay as a second language. And I'm not sure, there's a bit of an overlap between the two languages, Bahasa Indonesia and Bahasa Melayu. So I'm not sure, Sri, if you say, but is it also pedas in Bahasa Indonesia? I think she's, yeah, so she said yes. All right, awesome. So you're learning a little bit of Bahasa today with me. And so for what kind of oil you want to use, Jennifer? I'm using avocado oil just because it's like the healthier choice. And I actually will strain the oil later to add to my jar of homemade chili oil, just because it's got an aromatic flavor to it already, and because it's healthy enough. I'm like, I'll just reuse this instead of actually discarding it. But you can also use vegetable oil. That's more cost effective. And so for myself today, I don't have any like sambal olik or anything, but I have this chili garlic sauce that I'm going to add later on when we're making the sauce. So the whole concept of Tempe Manis is that you will fry up the tempeh first, the tempeh strips or matchsticks, if you don't, however you want to cut them, and then we're going to strain that of all the oil, and then we are going to make the glaze, and then the idea is that you toss all of those fried tempeh pieces into the glaze and coat it in all of that deliciousness. I think we have some questions on sesame or canola. I would say canola oil is fine because it's more of a neutral flavored oil. I wouldn't use sesame because that wouldn't go with the flavoring we want, and definitely not EVOO, not extra virgin olive oil, because the smoke point is too low and it's going to impart an off taste to this dish. So stick with canola if you can, Jennifer. Yes, and Sri, there's, like I said, there's no universal recipe for this dish. You can kind of make your own version of it. So you can use fresh ground chili peppers like Sri, or you can use basically any sambal, or even just slice some chilies to add the heat and add it to your Tempe Manis. And Betsy, hi. Betsy's actually the original tempeh influencer in the US. Like, she's been making tempeh since the 70s with her late husband Gunter. So it's really nice to connect with her again. Hi Betsy, and so this is really nice. Like union of tempeh tempeh lovers in the States. So another ingredient I did not mention in my in the write-up is that you could add for a little more complexity if you have, is tamarind concentrate. So I'm using this today, and basically tamarind is a type of like Southeast Asian fruit that has some sour notes, but it's very, you don't add a lot of it. This is a concentrate. So I'm going to show you what it looks like inside under overhead camera. Can everyone see this? Okay,
yes,
so it's
I
really
have overhead and you side by side. It's really quite cool.
Yeah, thank you. And so it's a very sticky, when you take it out, it's sort of like molasses, but it's very sour note. So you don't want to add too much of it. How you're going to prepare it is to take a little spoonful, very little, like less than 1 teaspoon, and then you're going to add it to some water, some warm water, to help it dissolve a little easier. So basically when you dissolve it in water like this, it's going to just sort of dissolve as well as it can in there. And we're just going to set this aside and use this, add some water later when we're adding our kicap manis, which is an Indonesian style sweet soy sauce to the pot. And so that will really help help combine everything together and caramelize it without burning the bottom of your saucepan. So that's super, super important, because it's like one of those dishes where you're like, I think I can turn my back for a moment, and then you're like, oh no, it's gone. So you don't want to burn anything today. So the other ingredient for Tempe Manis is ketchup manis. If you don't have this, you can just add a little bit of sugar that will balance your the use of tamarind or the use of your spice, your sambal or chili sauce or what have you. So this is a brand known as Bango, and it's one of the two big brands in Indonesia for ketchup manis. So ketchup is basically soy sauce in Indonesian, and Bango, I think you're either like a Bango lover fan or an ABC fan. The other brand of ketchup manis is ABC, and I got this from my local Asian supermarket. This soy sauce has that's already been flavored with a lot of sugar and molasses, and it's cloyingly sweet if you were to just eat it on its own. I add this to like congee and porridge. It's really good. I prefer this over like Japanese style soy sauce, but it's also salty and it's that savory taste as well. So really balanced and really, really, really good. So how much to add this later on, it's really up to you how sweet you want it. If you don't like too sweet of a dish, then you can just sort of scale back. But really, because there's already sugar in this, we want to make sure that our pot doesn't burn later. But I'll help you all with making sure that you all follow along properly and have any issues. So let's see. I think, do we have any? Are you ready to get started, Julia? Do you tamarind substitute? Oh, okay. So if you have tamarind, you can do it without tamarind, but I think tamarind adds a little bit of complexity to this dish, and I wasn't able to get lemongrass, so I'm like, okay, what can I add that would really make this dish more complex than we can? But I have it in concentrate form. I'm not sure if you have like the pulp itself or like another version of it. So with the concentrate form, you can just add a little bit of water to a little bit of tamarind concentrate, and it will just be, you can just leave it aside until we need it. So I hope that was helpful, Dina. Are there any questions anyone has at this point before we get started? I'm going to chop up a little bit, basically prepare my tempeh, so you can see how that goes. But are there any questions anyone else has at this point? Are we really excited to get started and learn how to make tempeh manis? Oh yes, you can definitely add sugar. I don't think jam would be. I think just sugar would be fine, because tempeh ketchup manis is basically sugar and soy sauce. So I'm not sure if you can see this. This is like the ingredients list of my Bango ketchup manis, and basically, you can just add sugar to soy sauce and make it work for this dish. Now, if you have lemongrass, what you want to do is basically cut off the top, like hard leafy part, and just use the white part. And then, so basically add, basically if you have, let's see, okay, let me, so let's say you have pretend this is a lemongrass, right? And the bottom of the lemongrass, it tends to be like this thicker white part, where the root would come out from. So you only want to use like this part, the white part, and what you want to do is to bash that part of the lemongrass and see if you can tie it into a knot. Basically cut off the rest of this, tie it into a knot if you can. If not, basically what we're going to do is to throw it in with the aromatics later on, and then just basically use that to infuse the oil that you're cooking with. So that's how you would use lemongrass for this dish. That, like I mentioned, if anyone has Kefir lime leaves, like that is a that will be good for adding citrusy notes if you don't have lemongrass for this dish. So I'm not sure that was helpful to you, Kathy, but that's a good question. So thank you for reminding me, for those who actually have lemongrass for today's workshop. So are we ready to go? Do we have all our ingredients?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. So I will first demonstrate by, I'll basically first demonstrate by cutting my tempeh, so you can see how the tempeh should be prepared. And in my case, oops. So here is my tempeh. Try to get my lighting. Well, okay, so for those of tempeh, it tends to come in blocks, like rectangular blocks. So what you want to do is to slice, just to slice it really thinly, so it'll crisp up really well in your oil. So you would just cut it. So here you can see this is it's actually good tempeh, good quality fermented tempeh is when you can slice it and it holds well together. So this is what the interior of fresh homemade tempeh looks like. And I'm not sure if Priscilla is asking about my recipes or someone else's, but so this is basically what it would look like once it's fermented properly, where you can see the mycelium. The tempeh spores have really grown mycelium and combined all these soybeans together. So you want to cut them really thinly, not too thick. So this is really, I would just probably say 3 milliliters, for example. And you can cut them into matchstick styles too. So a matchstick style would look like this, for example. So this would be like the matchstick version of tempeh. However, I just want to keep everything together, because I won't be using, I don't have a spider skimmer. So I'm going to take everything out, take my tempeh out of the tongs later on. So I'm just using, using thin slices today. So this shouldn't take long, and you don't want to cube them, because cubing them would result in tempeh that is not going to be crispy. You cube them if you want to add to a curry, but not for this particular dish. You really want to have really crispy, crunchy tempeh that is going to be able to withstand all that glazing and deliciousness of the caramelization and all that. So this is what it would look like. I think this is the ingredients. Okay. And so this is, I'd probably fry this in 2 batches. So don't worry if you don't have a big enough wok or anything like that. And I have to say, I'm not a professional chef. So Gordon Ramsay would probably tell me that my knife skills are rubbish. And so that's actually why I wanted to make sure that I was well prepared for this workshop by preparing all my ingredients earlier. So for those of you who are still cutting your tempeh, we'll be done in less than a minute. And so for those of you who are waiting, make sure we're also cutting our shallots and our garlic. I think that I have enough for myself, so I'm just going to continue cutting, just continue finishing up with the tempeh, and I'm going to start frying up the, heating up the oil to fry up my tempeh. So this is basically sliced homemade tempeh, and so this is my tempeh. I'm going to sort of push that aside, and for my kefir lime leaves, I realized like my plate is on top of my toaster oven. So for the kefir lime leaves that I mentioned earlier, you want to prepare them accordingly. The stem is inedible, so you're going to remove the stem, and you want to do that for all of the kefir lime leaves. This is okay. If it's torn perfectly in half. It's perfectly fine. Just make sure you get rid of the stem in the middle. And I found Kefir lime leaves are actually perfectly edible if you remove the stem. So that's why we're doing this. And it imparts a very wonderful citrusy flavor to the to this dish, and it really complements the tamarind too. For example, for those of you who are using it today, but if you don't, like, your Tempe Manis will still be on point. Trust me, it's a really good dish, and I'm really happy to introduce it to so many people today. So thank you for this opportunity again, Julia. And so I think these are all fine. So you have your Kefir lime leaves, and you want to just slice them into strips, or really thin strips. So I know these aren't perfect, but just sort of arrange them and just try to slice them into really thin strips. And you see that? And then we'll add them later on when we are making our glaze. The other thing you'd want to prepare as well is a colander with a bowl. So, sorry, a strainer with a bowl. So for example, this is what my colander looks like with my bowl. So the whole idea is that once you fry it with tempeh, you do not, you actually would just take the tempeh out and strain it here, like instead of on a paper towel, so that the oil can escape, and it won't make the tempeh soggy. So that's a tip for those making Tempe Manis today. So let's get started with our tempeh goreng at this point, for just fried tempeh in Indonesian. So we have I'm using avocado oil, just to be, I guess, to say, some people will probably find this bougie, right? But if you have canola oil or vegetable oil, it's perfectly fine. You want to, I realize I have to place my overhead camera. Let me see. I have some oil, so I'm going to wash my hands for a minute. Are there any questions so far? Like, can we go into, if anyone has any questions at this point, definitely feel free to put it in the chat while I wash my hands with some of the oil before I touch my camera.
Yeah, no, I think we are good so far. It looks, taking a look around, people seem to be keeping up just fine.
Okay, awesome. Yes, okay. So I'm going to tilt this so everyone can see my cooking ware and everything. And I'm going to heat up the pan. I'm going to add my oil. So you want to add maybe half a cup of oil, or depending on more. So this is a little bit, this is quite a bit already. So I would probably add a little bit, since I'm going to be doing 2 batches. So I'm heating this up on like medium heat, and then you can basically see how it browns beautifully in a bit. But this is one, like I said, like this is one of those recipes where you're like, oh, it's taking a little longer than I thought. I'll turn my back, and then next thing you know, it's burnt. So you don't want it to bakar, right? So bakar in Indonesian bahasa is basically to burn, and then it'll just not be good. So you want beautiful crisp tempeh, but not one that's like burn, and it's going to taste, it's not going to taste really good. And so, how is everyone doing so far? Oh yeah, thank you, Renee. I love, I know this dish can be intimidating to people who may not have all the ingredients on hand. And so I really want to be able to think of substitutions, suitable substitutions for you. As I found out today, like I was able to get lemongrass at my local supermarket. Also, for those who have a bay leaf, just keep one aside, because we're also going to be adding it to the oil to infuse that flavor. And my oil is heating up pretty well. you'd want to test it first by seeing if it's, when you put a tempeh slice in, and see if it's hot enough. This isn't sizzling like I hope, so I'm not going to add it in just yet. It's probably going to take a few more seconds. And when you add your tempeh slices in, it's going to have that, like, you know, really good sizzling sound, and so you'll know that it's ready. Okay.
That's beautiful sound.
So when you add one in, add one in first. So you'll see it's starting to sizzle. You see the light's a little too strong. Is the lighting okay?
Yeah, it's fine by me. I see some thumbs up from Ben and Dina.
Okay.
So I think we're good.
Okay, awesome. Carla, I go to the Asian supermarket here, the one called Lily Market in Chandler, Arizona, and there's a Ranch 99 too, but I much prefer the Lily Market here in Chandler. And so I'm adding my tempeh slices, as many as I can fit into my wok right now. And I'm also going to turn on the fan for venting purposes. And let me see if I can fit that in. Okay, so I have as many as I can fit in there right now, and I'm going to put my splatter screen on to make sure there's less mess as possible. And so for those who don't have, so there is frozen tempeh available at down to earth and Whole Foods. They even my local Winco has tempeh, but it's the Tofurkey and Lifelite tempeh that is not as there won't be as satisfactory to eat as the fresh homemade version. But yes, absolutely, in a pickle. If you are desperate for tempeh, you can use you can basically get it at your local supermarket now, where you can, you know, where the vegan friendly tofu and tempeh and alternative meats are. So that would be like your best shot for getting tempeh in the US. There are artisanal tempeh makers in the US, and there's some who are, I mean, myself included, but I don't actually make tempeh for a business. It's more to, you know, it's more small scale and really more for my workshops. But if anyone is interested in purchasing fresh tempeh in Arizona, definitely hit me up. I recently purchased a grain mill that would actually make tempeh a lot more efficient, because to make these from soybeans, you have to actually get rid of the skins of the soybeans first, and there are more efficient ways of doing this. But tempeh, I'd like to say, is a labor of love, and can be temperamental, because, you know, and intimidates some people who want to learn to make it, because they're like, I don't know what am I doing wrong, and it's pretty. I think personally for myself, if you know the signs of making tempeh and what to expect, you would definitely help you to be a successful tempeh home fermenter. So for those of us who are cooking tempeh, you would want to check on your tempeh, make sure that it's not burning, right? So these are looking pretty good. They're still golden. They're getting to that stage. I would still wait till they're like looking a little browner. So that would be my that'd be what I like to do. Julia, how are we doing on? Are we? I think, yeah. Are we? Is there like a hard stop to the time for this workshop?
No, we'll keep going until our tempeh is cooked and ready. And
okay.
Yeah, we're at 50 minutes after the hour, so just keep everyone on schedule. But yeah, we're good.
All right. Okay.
A lot of people are asking about where to find tempeh, so thanks for people in different cities to share their suggestions. It's definitely really interesting to hear about the different varieties that exist and how do you get authentic, healthy options. So, Ben and Dina have made some progress, so I'm gonna add them to the spotlight. Look at that.
Awesome. Yes, that looks really good. I think for myself, I'm a little, yeah, so I'm gonna add my tempeh. I'm gonna strain my tempeh now, and I'm gonna make another batch. It's basically, this is what mine looks like. I'm gonna strain it.
It looks like French fries. Or, forgive
yeah.
me, it's a compliment. It's a compliment. And everyone, Jennifer, I think, just cracked the best joke ever. That if you live in Tempe, Arizona, can you petition them to add an H to the name? So it feels.
You know, that's hilarious, and that's part of the reason why I actually spell tempeh with an H, because the traditional spelling in Bahasa is without the H. So in Bahasa, it's just tempeh without the H. And the thing is, you know, I live pretty close to Tempe, and I don't want to get confused. And then sometimes when I read news articles, I'm like, are they referring to Tempe, Arizona, or Tempeh? So that's why I started using Tempeh. The spelling of Tempeh with H in my workshops. But yeah, absolutely. I would love to ever like host, when COVID ever ends, host an in-person workshop in Tempe, and basically say, let's make Tempeh in Tempe. So that'd be definitely in the future. So, but yeah, that's really, really funny, Jennifer. And I'm baking my second batch now. I'm just going to make two batches. I'm not going to be cooking up all of the tempeh. However, for those of us who like to move on a little faster, we can start making our glaze. So for our glaze, I'm going to switch pots to, since you know what the tempeh should look like ideally now, I'm going to switch pots and put my saucepan on this burner. So here, switch that off. Okay. So, all right. So what you want to do now is to add oil to this saucepan. So not as much oil as in the other pan, as in the wok. You just a little bit. And you want to fry up your aromatics first. So you want to add your shallots and your garlic. If you mince your garlic, you want to add them at a later point, because the smaller your garlic pieces, the faster they're going to cook. They're going to burn. So be mindful of that. How you have prepared your garlic slices. But shallots take a little longer to cook. So, so basically, you want to cook these first. Unfortunately, I actually don't really know much about seitan, so I cannot. I can't speak to that. If I'm not wrong, I'm not sure if seitan is a fermented product or not. But if you can, if you have questions about tofu and tempeh, I can definitely share about that process, since I also make tofu as well at home. So my shallots are here. The oil is hot, and so I'm just going to drop everything in. And you need to hear that sizzle, that sound. Can you actually hear my sizzling in the background, like my pan sizzling?
I'm listening for the sizzle.
Okay.
I cannot hear it.
Okay.
But if anyone else can, maybe if you moved your phone closer, we could hear it perhaps. But I don't want it to fall in the pan. That would be dangerous. Wait,
yeah.
I hear it.
Oh,
I hear a slight sizzle. That was exciting.
that's exciting, isn't it? And so obviously, since we have two burners going at the same time, keep an eye on the development of your tempeh. Don't let it get burned, and you just want to basically add this. Basically cook this until it's softened, and then we're going to add in our Kefir lime pieces and our bay leaf. At this point, for those of you who have lemongrass, add it in now, like with the shallots, so that the flavors can all infuse together. Oh, okay. Thank you, Betsy, for that. I mean, I've not actually tried I don't think seitan is as popular as tofu and tempeh, so that's really good to know. So seitan is not fermented then, according based on what Betsy has shared. And my tempeh online workshop will also cover making soybeans, making tempeh from other legumes that are not soy. So if I'm actually going to be making black eyed pea tempeh and red lentil tempeh. I'm choosing these specific legumes to show like how different the structure of different beans will affect your resulting tempeh. So very geeky class if you want to geek out over tempeh, and it's a one-stop shop for learning how to make tempeh from scratch, regardless of whichever legume you choose to make it with. And so keep an eye on your shallots. At this point, they're really softened. They're looking a little more translucent than when they were first put in a pan. And so right now I'm going to add my garlic, my sliced pieces of garlic. And you just want everything to like caramelize really well. But you don't want it to burn them. So you want them to look really, you want them to sort of look really more on the translucent side, but not burnt at all. So you don't want that to happen. What is sambal? So sambal is like a traditional spice paste that's chili, is made of chilies and different spices. So what is the purpose of a telephone hanging above? Oh, my cell phone is the overhead for this particular workshop, Priscilla. So sambal is a spice paste that you make with like the chilies and different aromatics, and it's really common in Indonesian and Malay cooking. There's different types of sambal too, so you can choose sambal oleg or sambal tumis. There's also sambal belacan, and you really want to sort of tailor the sambal to what you want. So for me, I prefer a sweeter sambal, like sambal tumis over sambal belacan. And unlike my genetic roots, my great grandmother was actually from Sumatra. I don't have a really good tolerance for spice or heat, so I like to really temper how much chili or heat I add to my cooking. And do I prefer the lemongrass or the Kefir lime leaves? I think for myself, I'm gonna turn off the heat now and put it on this burner. I think Kefir lime leaves are easier to prepare. So, and I would go with, I think with Kefir lime leaves also, they last longer, in the freezer. So I have a very biased answer. I would say I would go with Kefir lime leaves, but both of them impart a citrusy note to this dish, and you can choose whichever one you really like. Can you put the sambal you like in chat? Yes, so you can. I think Sri has a recipe for you already. The sambal I'm using later in a little bit. I'm going to. Okay, my tempeh slices are here, and it's this chili sauce. It's not technically a sambal, but it's a good substitute, and so that's something, just something to add the heat would be good for this dish. So now I have my tempeh. It looks a little browner than I like, but it's perfectly fine. It's still good, and it's definitely crisped up really well. So for those of you who have, the tempeh strain, just add it to the colander, so you can see how this is really crisp up, and it's curled a little. It's got a very good crispy structure. And if you have a spider skimmer, good for you. I just try to minimize the number of kitchen products I have at home. So I'm just going to grab these and place this in my colander and let the oil strain at the bottom. Oh, this one sort of broke. Okay, so this is what we have. And we're going to continue with our making the glaze for this particular dish. So right now, this is what it looks like. Can everyone see what this looks like? So you can tell, like, you know, the garlic piece is a little translucent, and your shallots are really well cooked, but nothing is burned. And you smell it, you know, it really smells really aromatic and fragrant. So absolutely. How many dried chilies do we need? You want to add, dried anchovies, sorry. So you can just add a few tablespoons. It depends on how crunchy you want it to be. Like dried anchovies will really add to the crunch of this particular dish. So just, I would say start with 2 tablespoons worth and see if you like to add more. So this is a dish where you really customize it to yourself. Gochujang would be like a fusion version of Tempe Manis, but absolutely, you know, you can add it if you want. It just wouldn't be the traditional version of Tempe Manis. But if that's what you want and you like gochujang in your dishes, you know, absolutely use it. So now I'm going to add the tamarind paste and add the sambal, add the ketchup manis. But first, I would probably add, just to make sure everything combines together, I'm going to add the chili sauce that I have, the pseudo sambal. And how much to add is really up to you. So this is, if you don't like spice a lot, I would just add perhaps a few. I would just add a little, maybe like a tablespoon or less. So not a lot. So this, I'm using this much. And it's going to add a little bit of heat, but it's going to be a little bit of sweetness from the tempeh, the ketchup manis, and also going to add some of the tamarind concentrate. So you also want to add the ketchup manis at this point because it's going to caramelize because of the sugars in there. But you don't want it to burn, so we're going to add the tamarind water in a little bit. So just basically mix this up really well with the sambal or the chili garlic sauce that I have here. And how much to add of your soy sauce? Just basically, how much you want. The more you add, the sweeter it's going to be. So I'm just eyeballing maybe 2 tablespoons of it. It's easier to add less first than more. So I'm just going to add probably, this looks like 3 tablespoons worth. So just basically have this on low heat at this point because it's going to caramelize. You don't want it to burn. And then you want to make sure everything combines really well together. So now you have the soy, this ketchup manis combining with all of the aromatics and the Kefir lime leaves and your bay leaf. And you already have added the chilies if you're using. And then I'm going to add my tamarind paste. And for those of you who use lemongrass, you can take it out at this point because that's actually not directly consumable because you just use it to infuse the flavor, but you can take it out at this point. And for the tamarind paste, I think I'm gonna show this is what it looks like, dissolved in water. So I'm going to increase the heat, and you can see this is already caramelizing really well. I don't want it to burn, so I'm going to add this in there. then, you know, increase the heat, because then it will, to let it, to let the water evaporate and basically let it combine with the tamarind flavors. So I got the right thing. Should put them in now. So I would, yeah, you put in now with the rest of the aromatics, and it should still retain its crunch when you actually make it, when you actually finish cooking the dish. So you know, that's my advice for those with the whole dried anchovies. So those are the optional ingredients. If you have peanuts, you have anchovies, the dried anchovies. Like, this would really add the crunch factor in this particular dish. So you want to have your heat on high. I think I could stand to cook a little more tempeh. So I'm just going to increase the heat on the other burner, and use a splatter screen for this one. And so what's happening right now is that this Tempe Manis glaze is cooking. It's caramelizing. It's going to reduce, and then we're going to fry out our tempeh pieces. The last batch of tempeh pieces, and add all the rest of tempeh pieces that have been cooked into here, and you'll see how the whole dish comes together. And so, are there any questions at this point? How's everyone doing with your glaze and your tempeh frying? Make sure nothing burns. So here you can see that it's reducing, and it's going to it's really going to come together. I'm going to put in my tempeh slices now. Okay, it's not hot enough yet, but it'll get there in a minute or so. Are there any questions from anyone at this point about anything about the dish or anything like that? Oh,
yeah, Ben and Dina adding them to the spotlight to show off how it looks, which is awesome. Anyone else want to show how it's going so far? Jennifer, we're coming over to your stove, adding you in. Very
nice.
cool. Looks great.
Wonderful. Oh, it looks so
You
good.
are still on
Jennifer.
mute. So if you want to unmute and ask a question, feel free to. I love this. This is awesome. Let's see, anyone else want to share? Feel free to raise your hand. Jessica, I'll add you into the spotlight, see how it's going for you as well, if you want to share. And Pamela too, just add a few friendly faces back.
Jennifer, it looks really good. I love, I mean, I'm so amazed. Like, I can, you know, I never really thought at House of Class teaching Tempe Manis to a lot of people in the US. So this is really amazing. And I've spoken with an Indonesian cooking host last weekend, how we want it to be ambassadors to convince people to learn to love Indonesian cooking. And so this is really my way to share this love for this dish with you. Are there any questions at this point from anyone? I'm still heating up my tempeh, my last batch of tempeh. I need to put a splatter screen on there. Just to make sure I'm adding splatters. And then you want to watch your glaze. This is coming along really well, so I'm still just going to let it simmer for a little bit to reduce. But this is really great to see so many people making Tempe Manis at home with me. So yeah, absolutely. I think I should have enough to make another batch later on, but we're almost at the end. So yeah, really, this is a dish. Once you fry up the tempeh pieces, they come together really, really well. And so we're just going to wait for the tempeh manis, the tempeh slices to finish frying up for the last batch.
Oh, she's frying the last.
Did you put the tempeh in the sauce, or there's still?
Not yet. So my sauce is still my glaze is still reducing. So not yet. You don't want to put them in at this point because they're going to get soggy. You want your glaze to reduce as much as possible in order for them to coat your tempeh slices, but not to soak them in, because then they'll be really soggy and your tempeh will be soft, and it won't be like the Tempe Manis that you get in the nasi padang stalls in Singapore. So just wait for a little bit for your sauce or your glaze to reduce some more, and then we'll add them in a bit. So I have my tempeh slices crisping up in my wok. Ooh, okay. Absolutely be careful with this dish. It can be quite intimidating to make. And just sort of turn them around to brown both sides if you can. If you're using like a deep fryer, you're probably fine. But I tend to like shallow frying as opposed to deep frying. And I'm just going to reduce the heat now. So at this point, this is what my sauce looks like, my glaze.
It looks really beautiful. What gives it that it's that golden glaze? Is it the tamarind or something else?
I think it's hot. It's the Kefir manis that's got the molasses in it. That's the sugar that really, and so when it browns, it really imparts this really beautiful caramel color. But even if I didn't add the tamarind, I think it would still look like this. It's just it's a dish that doesn't really look, super colorful, but it's got a very beautiful caramelized color to it. And so I think a lot of it has to do with the darkness of the Kefir manis and the sugars that caramelize in there. So if you use soy sauce and sugar, you get the same effect as well. So you just don't want it to burn. So now you can see that it's really reduced, and you don't want it to burn. So I'm just gonna have this on for a couple more minutes probably, and then I'm gonna add my tempeh slices. Okay, so I have my pot. I'm going to turn the burner off on my wok, and then I'm going to just add it to my strainer. So you can see this. So this is what it should look like. I mean, some of them are more golden brown than the others, but it's fine. And it's a little browner, but okay. So we're almost ready to add our Tempe Manis slices to our glaze. I can see how this dish comes together really, really fast. Ready cooked at this point for anyone, make it plant-based. Yes, you can definitely use Kefirs because they're also pretty, they add a really good salty umami to them. And so that would make it vegan friendly if you want to make it so. So now I have my glaze. It's ready. It's looking really shiny. It's actually pretty. It can't go any further than that. It can't reduce further than that. And what you want to do is try to heat up a little bit from low so that it will just reduce some more. And then toss your tempeh pieces in, the ones that we cooked today, and just basically toss it in there. Mine is too oily. So absolutely, Jennifer, you want to, I think with the oil, the amount of oil, maybe it's because you have not, either there's too much oil added to when you're frying up the shallots, or maybe your glaze hasn't, make sure your glaze isn't like watery that you're mistaking for oiliness. But this is really a recipe where you're like, okay, you have to sort of take a wait and see approach to see, is it ready yet to have like all these things added to it. This is one of those, I guess you would say, less scientific recipes. It's not like baking, but you'll know what the finished product should look like in a little bit. So for those of you who've added your tempeh slices, you want to move it around a little bit to make sure that everything's being coated really well, and you don't have to use like a really large saucepan. This is fine from like 1 patty of soybean tempeh, and you can hear that sizzle. So let me basically get my audio equipment here. Can you hear it sizzle?
Hard to hear. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay. Yeah, so that's what it should look like. It should sound like, but you don't want anything to burn. And you just want, you can see how it's really coating everything well in there. And we're nearly at the end. And when you feel like everything's coated really well and everything looks uniformly coated, we're pretty much done. So you can see what it looks like here. So if it's actually ready to be plated, and at this point you can add other, like for example, like if you have any cilantro, you can add it as a garnish, or basically want to taste test. It's possible to add a little more soy sauce at this point if you want to, but I generally I'm fine. I kind of know what I like and how to achieve that, so I'm just sort of leaving it as it is, and we're pretty much done. Like, can you see how the beautiful dark glaze on a tempeh compared to what we have initially, right? So from this to this, and it's really amazing what you can transform just with a very humble soybean tempeh, a few aromatics, and some really delicious ingredients. So I would say I'm switching off the burner at this point because I don't want it to burn. You basically want to keep everything moving just so that nothing sticks to the bottom of your saucepan, and we're ready to start plating. So at this point, I'm going to grab my plate. Or 2 servings, separate what else? So you'll usually serve this with rice if you want. This is more, I'd say, a snack food than an entree, but I consider it a dish in its own right. So you can, when you make this, you can also make other snack dishes with like tofu, for example, and basically serve it all together. So remember, like Asian cooking is really very, very communal based, right? So you have different dishes. With the rice, you'll serve like a whole bunch of other small dishes. And so this isn't meant to be like an entree, although I treat it like an entree by like eating all of it at once. But yes, you know a new Super Bowl treat, Eva. So it's really great. And I'm going to start plating this now. I'll tilt the camera here so you can see. Oops. So you can see what it looks like.
Yeah, and for the folks who are watching the recording, I noticed that the recording doesn't capture both cameras. So Norah will also have you just show it. I'll unspotlight you for a moment and just show this. The plate is gorgeous, so I can't wait to see the presentation.
Yeah, I have to say I'm not a food stylist, and I'm not or like one of those food bloggers or like food photography skills, but I know a good dish when I taste one, and I'm just I love this dish. And I think that I once attended a an Indian cooking class where the host, he teaches Indian cooking, and so one of his lines was like, Indian cooking doesn't care about your diet. I just say Indonesian cooking is the same way. But you can, there's a lot of sugars and flavoring and salt, and it's just good. It's really, really tasty. I don't make this dish like every day. I make this like perhaps when I feel indulgent. So, and I can have like a few more calories, to consume. So I'll take a spoon and just, don't waste any of this aromatics on your spatula. I'm gonna use this to scrape this off, and the aromatics just really make it so good. I will basically cut this.
When you say aromatics, what do you mean? Like the aroma?
Oh, like your the garlic and the shallots and the kefir lime leaf that we added. They really bring the dish together, and especially with the tempeh. So the tempeh is sort of at that the textural contrast, where it's got a crunch, and you have the sweet and saltiness of your soy sauce glaze, and also the sour notes from the tamarind, and the citrusy notes from like your kefir lime leaf or your lemongrass if you've used those, and it's just so good. So this is what it looks like, and this is so delicious. I'm not tasted yet, but yeah, I know it's delicious because I make this so many times. Yeah, absolutely. 3 best of rice and steamed vegetables, and yeah, I'm so happy, Dina, that you're willing to make this today. Is this a fork or a finger food? I can see, absolutely. So I eat it with a fork. In Asia, a lot of us eat it with our hands, and so I would say I'd probably still eat this with a fork, because you don't want to waste any of the aromatics or anything like that. Yes, absolutely. For those who are adding peanuts, who have peanuts, you can add peanuts at this point. Make sure that you just redistribute them well in the saucepan. And for those who added like dried anchovies, you should still be able to bite into it and taste like the anchovies. So the dried anchovies in Bahasa is like ikan bilis. So that's the term. And it's not really common here. I've not seen it. I get my anchovies in a can. That's for like Italian cooking. But this is, even without like your optional ingredients like your dried anchovies or your peanuts, like this is still supposed to be crunchy and just really very savory, delicious Indonesian dish. So I'm gonna grab a fork and take a bite in front of you, so that you can, for those of you who watch, like you would know, you sort of get inspired to make this on your own.
It's like Ben and Dina are enjoying. I'm going to add a few folks back in.
Absolutely.
Unmute. I'll add Jennifer back. This will be the part where we would all be together in person and eating and sampling, but here we are on Zoom.
It's delicious. Our teenagers are coming home just to eat some.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, this is, you can taste the saltiness and the spiciness, and then the sweetness of it. It's also a really balanced, complex dish, and it's so easy to make at home, with the really really easy to get ingredients if you say you're near to an Asian supermarket.
Wow.
It's so good.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Nora, but Pamela, you have garnished it with beautiful peanuts. Is that cilantro or parsley?
Yeah, cilantro.
Looks gorgeous.
And this is actually tofu, which I fried instead of tempeh because I wasn't able to get to the store, but it looks delicious anyways.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you have tofu, you can definitely like pan fry it, and it will taste a little different. The texture is just a little different, but absolutely the taste, the flavor will still be there when you add the same ingredients and aromatics and tamarind or lemongrass. and all that stuff. So I'm
I
eating.
coated it in a little bit of cornstarch
Oh,
so
okay.
for
Mhm.
spear on
Put
the
that one out.
outside.
That's really good. Good thinking. So yeah, absolutely. If you have tofu and tempeh, sort of very very common, increasingly common ingredients to
Jennifer's
source.
looks beautiful too. I see some great colors. Like, what did you plate yours with? I feel like I see some almonds, maybe arugula, but I might be making this up because I can't fully see. Feel free to unmute because we can't hear you. You're on mute. Sorry about that.
I put it on baby spinach because I'm trying to eat more veggies, like all of us probably. And then I put cilantro because I heard you say cilantro. And instead of peanuts, I didn't have peanuts, but I had almonds. So I roasted them real quickly and then chopped them up and put them on top. And I can't wait to try it because the licking the spatula was really good after it cooled off. Got to make sure it's cool.
Oh my goodness.
We have so many. I love the creative varieties that everyone has taken. And Jessica, how did yours turn out? Do you want to show us a picture or share? Awesome.
Oh, beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Anything special did you add to your creation?
No, I just garnished with a little bit of cilantro and I used peanuts, but it's delicious. Very, very good.
Nice. That's great. Well, please, anyone who is cooking today or cooking along and going to watch the video, please tag us as well as Norah. I just put our Instagram, Tradition Kitchens, and then Norah is Ferments by Norah. And this is so fascinating to learn from you, Norah, about your story, and want to just open it up. I know we're a little bit over time, but it's amazing. We have everyone still here with us who started at the beginning. So any questions about Norah's? Yeah, let's learn. Is there anything else about your culture? Or Shri congratulated you, I think, in Malay, maybe?
Oh yeah, she said thank you in Malay, in Bahasa. So
how do we pronounce that?
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih?
Yes, terima kasih. So it means thank you in Bahasa, and so the response to that would be sama-sama. So that means like it's the same. Like I feel like likewise, basically. And yes, I am on Facebook. I mean I'm Norah Isabel is my personal one, and my and just search for that, and then I am Ferments by Norah on Facebook as well. And for those on Instagram, it's Ferments by Norah as well. So thank you Julia, for that. Has all of my social media links. My landing page has all my social media links and my workshop links as well. I have not added my and the community I spoke about earlier in this class is a little was just started yesterday, so I'm just going to post that again for the benefit of those who like don't want to scroll all the way up to the chat. I'm just going to copy that link here and
yeah, and that's a great way to continue to learn more about fermenting, and I'm excited to check out this community. So thanks for giving us a discount to check it out as complimentary guests for the first 30 days. It sounds amazing. And all of our classes are volunteer led, and this is Norah's profession. So I really want to, thank you for sharing your time and your talents with us. But it's so important for us to support creators, especially during these times where it's not as easy to go out to a restaurant or start a small business. But I really admire your entrepreneurialness in the kitchen, and so excited to support you and all the other past and future Tradition Kitchens teachers who are experts as well as just home cooks. So thank you, Norah, so much. Let's give her a round of applause. You can feel free to unmute or use your favorite emoji. I'm going to give you a heart to thank you for your kindness and teaching. I just want to open it up. Any final questions for Norah before I make a quick closing announcement or two? Lots of applause. Thank you, everyone. Norah, anything you want to say as we wrap up?
I'm just so I am so elated at the support and the attention from all of you. You've followed along really great, and I'm, you know, like I said, I guess never. I mean, as Indonesian cooking is not as well known as other cuisines here in the U.S. Like everyone knows a lot about Thai food and Indian food, and you know, Indonesia is actually the 4th most populous nation in the whole world, and yet, but there isn't a lot of places you can go to enjoy great Indonesian cooking. So I don't know, maybe that's like a silver lining, like that I ended up learning to cook and make tempeh because I wanted to recreate my own food memories from Singapore. And so, you know, in a way, I think there's been some good things that have come out of the pandemic and knowing, you know, and going virtual, because it's like, I just never thought I'd have this reach before. So I'm so elated to teach. This is actually my very first cooking class. I'm not sure if I mentioned that to you, Julia, earlier, but I was trying to figure out what my setup would be. So I'm really glad everyone, you know, you were able to follow along and learn how to make tempeh on your own. And of course, like if you want to learn how to ferment it at home, along with other like non-soy legumes, if you choose, you know, there's my workshop this Saturday, and it's really easy to get the rhizopus mold for your tempeh in the US. You can get it from an eBay reseller. So message me directly on Facebook or Instagram, and I'll send you the link for the eBay supplier that I use. And it's really economical, like $12 for an 80-gram bag of tempeh starter spores, and you can make tempeh for like a year. So that's my shameless plug for tempeh.
I love it. Thank you for championing your culture and your cuisine. That's really what we're all about, is sharing our stories through food. So that is a perfect segue. Again, thank you so much. As we wrap up, I think I see Shira on the line. I'm not sure if it's the same Shira who will be teaching us next week a delicious Malaysian chicken in spicy coconut milk and turmeric of tempoyak. Are you here, Shira? I know it's, I think, probably early for you in the day. Might be a different Shira. Either way, next Sunday we'll be joined by Shira. And then in February, we just launched a few classes and we'll be sending out the official invites, but we have a lentil soup, a Persian lentil soup coming up. Then we're going to do a sweet creme brulee on Valentine's Day. And then another basic food, but has a lot of special meaning to me in particular, is the muffin. So we're going to be having a muffin bake along for a philanthropic cause called National Muffin Day, which my friend and I, the Muffin Man, started about 8 years ago. So more to come on all of that. If any of you want to teach and are inspired and want to share your culture, your tradition, please let us know. cookingwithtradition@gmail.com. We would welcome that. And we hope you have a great day, evening, morning, wherever you are dialing in from. And we'll post the video in the next 24 to 48 hours. So thank you so much. Feel free to unmute and wave and express your appreciation in the chat. It's great as we are hanging out to see these kind words of appreciation. So thank you so much, everyone, for your kindness. And Shira, I see you. Would you like to make a plug for your class next week?
Sorry, I was talking and then I realized my video and my camera and my audio wasn't on. But yes, I'm looking forward to next week. I actually logged in a bit late today because I was cooking dinner and forgot about the time, you know. But I'm glad. What I'm cooking next week is partially Indonesian as well. It was a dish that my mother taught me because my mother has got Indonesian ancestries as well. So I hope lots of you today will join me next week. Thank you.
Absolutely. We're so excited to learn from you. So thank you for sharing your cooking talents with us. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for the time and sharing your stories. And don't forget to tag us in your creations. So, and it looks like we've got a whole kitchen full of eaters. So I feel like Ben and Dina, we have to end on you. Look at this. What's going on?
It was very good, very good.
Teenager approved tempeh?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Awesome, love it. You'll get the calendar invites for all the fun upcoming events, Renee. And we put some links, so if you want to scroll up. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask because I watch everything happening in this class, but you'll get it. Okay, thank you again, Norah, and great to see so many familiar and new faces. Bye, everyone.
Hi, thank you so much.
Bye, thank you.